Good morning, students. Let's begin our social science class. In continuation of NCRT History, chapter Socialism in Europe and the Russian Revolution, today's content the First World War and the Russian Empire, the February Revolution in Petrograd. In this map, two color used to indicate the major group those who fought First World War during 1914 to 18, and these were categorized as Central Power, which is represented in the map by the yellow color, and Allied Powers, which is represented by the green color. The First World War was fought among European countries. Germany, Austria, Hungary, and Turkey were on one side, and France, Britain, and Russia, etc., were on the other sides. World War First had an impact on many nations in the world. The country which suffered the most was Russia. Let's explore the situation in Russia during the First World War. During early days in Russia, the war was popular under the control of its king, Tsar Nicholas II. During the war, the king took personal command of the army and left his wife and a monk called Rasputin to make plans. Rasputin's advice on the army plan was not successful, and thus the Tsar's autocracy became unpopular. Anti German sentiments ran high, as it can be seen in the famous St. Petersburg renamed as Petrograd. Russian armies lost badly in Germany and Austria during war. According to the plan, crops and buildings were destroyed so that the enemy could not use them, and this plan generated by Rasputin. There were 7 million casualties and 3 million refugees in Russia. The war also affected the industry. There was labor shortage, railway lines were shut down, and small workshops were closed down. There was the shortage of grain and hence of bread. This destruction created 3 million refugees in Russia. Soldiers were demotivated to fight the war. Everyone blamed the government and the king for poor decisions. This war led to the scarcity of resources in Russia. The supply of industrial goods was also stopped from other countries. Industrial goods were stopped because those goods came through the Baltic Sea, which was under the control of Germany. At the same time, railway lines began to break down. People without any disability were called for war. Large amounts of food was sent to army, which led to food scarcity in cities. All this led to riots at food shops as people were fighting for bread and flour. The February Revolution in Petrograd. The Russian Revolution of 1917 was one of the most important political events of the 20th century. In the winter of 1917, the condition of Petrograd was very gloomy or grim. The city was divided into two parts. The workers' quarters and factories were situated on the right bank of River Neva. On left bank of River Neva, there were fashionable areas, the Winter Palace and Assembly Building, Duma. Tsar wanted to dissolve Duma, but members of parliament wanted to save the elected government. On 22nd February, a factory on the right bank of Neva got closed. Women also led the strikes in many factories. This came to be called as the International Women's Day. The workers on strike traveled from the factory quarters to Nevsky Prospect, the center of the capital. As the fashionable quarters and official buildings were surrounded by workers, the government imposed a curfew. The demonstrations ended by evening, but the workers returned again on 24th and 25th February. The cavalry and police were called by the government to keep workers under control. The government went against the politicians and suspended Duma on February 25th. On February 26th, demonstrations again started on the streets. On February 27th, the demonstrators went on to damage the police headquarters. People raised slogans about bread, wages, better hours, and democracy. Government tried to control the situation with the help of cavalry, but cavalry refused to fire on demonstrators. An officer and three regiments were killed for supporting the strike of workers. After this incident, the soldiers and workers together formed a council in the Duma. This council was called Petrograd Soviet. Soon after formation of Petrograd Soviet, a delegation was sent to meet Tsar. Tsar, on the advice of his military commander, left his throne on 2nd March 1917. A temporary government was formed by Soviet leaders and Duma leaders to run the country. A constituent assembly was elected on the basis of votes of adults. It had to decide Russia's future. In 1917, two revolutions occurred in Russia, February Revolution and second, which I am going to discuss in another video, October Revolution. Thank you very much. Have a nice day.